Evo, bringing you the thrill of driving on iPad, online at evo.co.uk and in print magazine.
There are lots of contenders for 2012's most eagerly anticipated car, but I reckon the Ferrari F12 tops the lot. We're in Italy to find out what Ferrari's latest and possibly greatest supercar is all about. So this is a bit of a baptism of fire. I've never ever driven around Fiorano. My first taste of it is in a 730 horsepower F12. First impression, the steering is so quick, as we've got used to with Ferraris. Always takes some time to get used to. The engine is absolutely nuts. There's some body roll, which is often the case with these V12s, but the car feels light and super pointy, as you would expect. I'm going to turn the traction off because I feel like I should. It might be a mistake. Yeah, this is probably too much car for anyone, but it's really good fun. Monster oversteer every time you get on the throttle. So that was a brief taste of this car on track, and it is wild, as you would expect. The question is, can it translate onto the road? I've got a feeling it probably can, don't you?
But before we venture out onto the fabulous Futa Pass, we need a benchmark to put this F12 into context.
And this is unquestionably the car to do it. The 599 GTO was released just a couple of years ago, and at the time it seemed outrageous. It has 661 horsepower, it cost from £299,000, and this car is quicker than an Enzo around Fiorano. Now the F12 puts it in the shade, or at least it does on paper. It's time to find out what the benchmark's like in reality. So people got quite upset, didn't they, when the GTO came out? There's nothing omologato about this car other than a load more money into Ferrari's bank account. This thing was 300 grand. How does it feel? Well, actually, you could scrub the 599 out of the name altogether in some ways. It feels nothing like the GTB. There's more weight to the steering. The downhill feels much more in control. It really hunkers down into the surface. And you feel like you lean on the front end, which you don't with the standard car. This is much easier to drive. The other area they really nailed with this car is the gearbox. I know the F12's got a twin clutch box, super quick, super smooth, but this last generation of F1 shift is brilliant. 60 milliseconds the shifts, and it suits the character of the car perfectly. I love it. So we were never going to uncover the full extent of the GTO's personality today. We can't drive it hard enough or long enough. But what I've discovered, I absolutely love. This thing feels so special. It's really keyed into the road. The steering's quick, it's a physical experience. But it feels much more trustworthy than a normal car. And the traction's fantastic. It is some app for the F12 to follow.
So we've had a tantalising glimpse of the GTO's wild character in the UK, and it is a seriously addictive car. If the F12 can match it for drama and intensity, but in a more usable and even faster package, it's going to be extraordinary.
So with the F12, Ferrari are promising mid-engine dynamics, but with front-engine practicality. and versatility. We saw some of that on the track. Amazing traction considering the horsepower. And on the road that continues, but there is another side to this car. When the tyres are warm and you really want to use the power, it loves to oversteer. What the F12 doesn't have is the GTO's incredibly clear lines of communication. We're back to quite light steering, very, very quick in this car, and you just don't quite get the feedback. But there's an awful lot more than there was with the GTB, the 599, that this really replaces. This feels closer in spirit when you're going slowly to the old 575, which I think is a great thing. It's much more relaxing. Just feels like there's more depth of ability. You can enjoy it at slow speeds as well as high. On the road, the standout features remain the engine, which is mega. It just never ever stops. And the gearbox, which is quick, really helps you keep this thing on the boil. Not that you need much help because there's so much torque too. So the chassis balance, do they get that mid-engine agility they're looking for? Well here, this is brilliant. Transient curves, and you can just roll the car from one to the other. The really quick steering just upsets the rear a bit, but it's fantastic the way the rear can live with the front. How does this thing compare to rivals? Well, compared to the GTO, it hasn't quite got the feedback, the charisma, the sheer drive of that thing, which is nuts. And compared to the Aventador, again, it doesn't quite have that sense of occasion, but with a front engine, you get unique qualities. And there are so few supercars that you can drive like this. Holy, this car is utterly mental.